Hi, I'm Jim Richter, and I'm here to give you a short video lesson today on applying blues shuffles to the mandolin. I think most people can recognize the shuffle rhythm. It is prevalent in rock music, the foundation of blues music, and country music. You hear it in old-time fiddle music. And basically, when you're talking about a shuffle, it's not a straight beat. It's usually where notes are either swung or played kind of in a triplet figure. A triple is how you take a single beat and divide it into 3 equal beats as a part of instead of 2. So you would take a quarter note, and the triplet would be 3/8 notes. And the shuffle rhythm, which is the dum 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 dum, or dum 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 dum, is basically where in that triplet the first 1/8 note would be a dotted note. And then the last triplet, the third triplet, would just be a standard 1/8 note within that triplet. So that how you would end up with one note that would go 1, 2, and then the last note would be 3. So the first note has a duration of 2 of the 1/8 notes within the triplet, and then the last note is the single 1/8 note. And that's how you get that shuffling rhythm, how it's kind of, instead of, like, if you imagine walking, you know, where you go dun, 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 beat, dun, 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 almost like you were favoring one leg, kind of rolling onto itself. But you hear, you know, you've got the slow blues that we were just doing down. You've got the faster kind of Chuck Berry, Rolling Stones kind of blues thing where you do something like, or like in Stevie Ray Vaughan, that big Texas shuffle that you would hear in Pride and Joy, something like. Something like that, but you hear it. But you can hear that triplet figure in there. And usually it's a pattern. The way the pattern works is that, well, let's talk about the double stops first. Is that what you're playing are a series of double stops. Double stops, if you're a mandolinist, you should be familiar with through traditional bluegrass, through old-time fiddling. And double stops are nothing but generally 2 notes of a particular chord. So they are a chord, they're 2 notes of a primary chord. In the case of the blues, what you're playing is that the first one is kind of what people call the 5th chord. I'm not comfortable with it, but the 5th chord is the same as kind of like a power chord on guitar, where it doesn't have a third in it. So a 5th chord would be basically 2 notes, and it would be root and 5th. So in the case of the key of E, you would have the E note and the B note, which is the 5th of the chord. There would be no G sharp. In the key of G, you would have G and D, but no B. And so we're going to do movable types, movable double stops. But one of the things that makes blues so accessible to a lot of people, including myself, is the fact that most of it is based out of box shapes and movable position or movable patterns that you can put into different positions. It's very easy to transpose to another key. So if we do something in the key of A, now I've got a tab for this that I've put up at my website. It basically runs you through 36 bars, 3 times through a typical 12-bar blues song. They kind of run you through the different shapes that I'm going to be using here. One of the basic is where you would have the root on the bottom and the fifth on top. So in this case, you would do a bar across the 2nd fret. You would have the A note on the G string, which is 2nd fret, E note on the D string, which is 2nd fret. You would do a partial bar. You would use the fleshy part of your finger to damp the first 2 strings. So that would be your A5 chord. Then you're going to go to an A6. Basically, you'll keep your bar and you'll play with your ring finger. You will play 2 frets up on the D string, which would be 2 frets up from the note that you're barring. So that would be the same as the 4th fret D string, which is an F sharp note. F sharp would be the 6th note within that particular chord. So that'd be an A6. And then the last double stop that you would use would be the flatted 7th, which would be a G